Power could spend the rest of his life in prison for the change in a tip jar. This afternoon, an Albuquerque jury found him guilty of murdering a restaurant owner for $3.45. News 13's Maria Medina covered the trial and has more.
Dick, it took jurors little more than a day to come back with a verdict. Guilty of murder, guilty of robbery, guilty of child abuse.
We find the defendant guilty.
Donte Power stared straight ahead as the judge read the verdict.
Guilty of first-degree murder, felony murder.
Guilty on all counts. 21-year-old Power now faces life in prison.
They got it right. The jury got it right.
But there were no cheers or tears in the courtroom from the victim's family.
The family has moved out of New Mexico. They're back in New York.
The family chose to stay home after nearly a week of heart-wrenching testimony.
When I got back to the restaurant, I saw my wife. She was in my mother-in-law's arm, and my wife was full of blood.
Last week, Yan Yu told jurors he'd found his wife, Q Fan Chen, dying in their restaurant Golden Star off Manal in July 2008. Power had stood less than 2 feet away from Chen when he shot her in the chest, then took off with the restaurant's tip jar.
She just fell over on my arm, and I saw all the blood came out.
The victim's mother held her daughter. Her then 4-year-old son hid under a table. He'd been eating lunch and watched his mother's murder. Police arrested Power across the street at Coronado Mall a few hours later and found the tip jar he'd stolen in his car. Chen died for $3.45.
We expect and hope that he will be sentenced to the full extent.
Yu and Chen moved to New Mexico a few years ago to start a new life together and soon opened the Golden Star restaurant. Yu closed it after the murder. Chen was 27. Dick?
Okay, Maria, Donte Power will be sentenced on April the 19th. Prosecutors will ask the judge to stack the sentences so that he will have to do 60 years before he's eligible for parole.